Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Afghanistan. Bomb killed 63 at wedding in Kabul. And if you're wondering about civil war and what it looks like, then look no further than Afghanistan. And you can, of course, blame overseas intervention into why this mess is there in the first place. But nonetheless, I'm using this as an example of civil war. And I would also like to add that when we're talking about Muslim or Islamic terrorism, most of it happens against other Muslims. Um, that that is just the fact of the matter, and most suicide bombings are, of course, also Islamic. In 2016, 450 or 452 terrorist suicide attacks were carried out by Islamic extremists, and the other two were carried out by some really radical communists. But nonetheless, let's read on. I would also like to point out from this of when people say, "Oh, well, Islam is clearly very misogynistic." I would say no, it's just misandrist. It hates men and it hates women. And when you have the warring sects, then of course they're going to go after the men first. And I will prove it. So, yes, Afghanistan bomb kills 63 at wedding in Kabul. So when they say what happened, seeing as IS have claimed the attack, they say that a wedding guest, Mohammed Farhag, said he has been in the women's section when he had a huge explosion in the men's area. Everyone ran outside shouting and crying, he told AFP news agency. For about 20 minutes, the hall was full of smoke. Almost everyone in the men's section is either dead or wounded. When the emergency services came, then there was a car bomb that went off as well. And lo and behold, they wish to target the men, because what is it when they go after people? If they're talking about the women, they are saying, make widows of their wives and orphans of their children. Pray tell who it is that they're going after then. It's not the women and the children they're going after. Again, it's the men. That's who they wish to take out. So tell me again how it's so misogynistic then, seeing as they're trying to protect the women. So, oh, they can't go outside, especially when there's a war on. Well, men can't go inside, especially when there's a war on. They have no choice but to fight. And then, of course, some men are able to marry many women, so they can have as much lesbian sex as they want while the man's out, because he has to support them. He can only have more wives if he can support them. Meanwhile, there are a load of men then, of course, left without a wife. If men are taking up 3, then that leaves a load of men who can't have any. In which case, they're then radicalized to say, let's push you in the direction of wherever our enemies are, whether that's inside Afghanistan or towards Europe, and go kill people there. And then in heaven, you'll get what you want, because you want the women, and that's what we'll give you. We're all doing it for the women. It's like, oh, yes, but apparently it's misogynistic. Yeah, sure. I'm not following you at all. But let's go to the update, which is more focused about the groom. And they're saying that an IS statement said one of its fighters blew himself up at a large gathering while others detonated a parked explosives-laden vehicle when emergency services arrived. The attack took place in a district populated mainly by Shia Muslims. Yes, it is the Sunnis against the Shia. The Taliban are also Sunni, and IS was formed out of them because IS are more barbaric than the Taliban, if you can believe such a thing. And then the Taliban wanted to distance themselves from that group, and that's when the Islamic State sprung up to say, hey, well, we're still in existence as well, and we're just more serious about it than you are. So it seems that when you are this militant and aggressive, that you can't even keep your own groups together. If you're going to have laissez-faire, live and let live, then it seems you can. So the bride's father told Afghan media that 14 members of his family had died in the attack, as well as her family as well, many members of her family. So what reaction has there been? President Ghani said he had called a security meeting to review and prevent such security lapses. And he's also saying that the Taliban are still... Well, Taliban spokesman said the group strongly condemned the attack. There was no justification for such deliberate and brutal killings and targeting of women and children. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? They don't want to attack the women and children. It's okay, though, because it was in the men's area. It isn't written in this. I've only been able to find one source from the BBC and the Daily Mail, don't wish to mention it either, that it happened in the men's area. But whatever. Let's not hurt the women and children. Yeah, exactly. Tell me again how it's misogynistic. And yes, the president is saying, well, Taliban are providing a platform for extremism, so hell no. And this is on Sunday, so yesterday, just after the Friday of when the brother of one of the Taliban headmen was killed in a bombing as well, of which no group is yet to take credit for. So they say the conflict in Afghanistan is now the biggest war in the world, and the US and Afghan troops backing them dropped more bombs in 2018 than at any other time since 2001. Yep. civilians are caught in the middle and their casualties are going up. Yes, so how are Afghan peace talks progressing? The Taliban is saying that they will only continue with talks if America pulls out. Of course, what the hell's up with that? There's no guarantee there at all. Are you sure you wish to put power in your enemy like that? And I understand the opinion that you shouldn't have intervention, because who's to say whether you're right or you're wrong? The point here, though, seeing as we're in there at least, I will parrot what Jocko Willink says, which is you need to train up your own. Well, you need to train up the people within that country in order to defend themselves from their internal threats. So you need to train them, get them to do the fighting, get them to deal with themselves, get them to police their own, and at that point, yeah, you can leave, because that's the point. You're saying there's a problem here, it's affecting people outside of your country, because that seems to be the only time that other countries get involved. Well, you could say World War II, Germany killing their own, didn't care until they started going after other countries and into Poland. With Russia, similar thing, until they then tried to create satellite states. At that point, there's a problem. And of course, it went hot in Vietnam, for example. With China on Mao Zedong, he was able to kill the most people because China had the most people, 72 million people, some people estimate, because he didn't go into other countries. So they went, well, it's your own country, you can deal with it. And that's that's just the fact of the matter, as far as I can tell. So yes, when they're then attacking other countries, then the other countries go, well, no, we're not going to allow that. You need to police your own. We are going to be in your groups. The US like to think of themselves the police of the world, rightly or wrongly. So we're going to go into your country, into your groups, and when we're there, we're then going to say, hey, we're going to train you in order to deal with your internal threats, and you can take them out. But there we go. That's it for now. Let me know what you think below. What you think about intervention from that perspective, and even if you disagree with intervention in principle, now that we're there, do you think, well, now that the US is there, that they should say, well, we're going to train you to tell you how to deal with them, and at that point we'll leave? Or do you think they should pull out now and say, well, go on then, Taliban, we trust you to not do anything bad this time around? Ha 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 ha. Anyway, I will leave it with saying 7-Eleven was a part-time job. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.